Welcome to Monster Monday. All right. Thus begins the 6-week journey. Well, I guess 7. Because I don't think we did a spoiler discussion on Welcome to Raccoon City.
I don't know that we did. I
think we
remember.
just did a spoiler-free one. So, over the next 7 weeks, including this one, so 6 weeks more from here, we will be covering the Resident Evil movie franchise. What sparked this was the fact that I, just over the last few weeks, played through Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4's remakes. The 4th one just came out maybe a few weeks ago. And because of that, I was like, okay, I want to play 2, 3, 4. And then after 4, tried to play 5. Holy shit, terrible. For me. It's too hard to go from the 4 remake to the 5. Which is still stationary shooting. Yeah. And the graphics and everything just were such downgrades that I just couldn't handle it. I tried to move on to 6, which was a multiplayer, and I was trying to play it with you, but we didn't have any time. So then I moved on to 7 because I wanted to wait for Kaylee to play 6, which is definitely better than 5 so far. At least I can move when I'm shooting. And then 7, which I really liked previously when I played it. It actually, for some reason, and I've tried 3 times now, making me sick. Yeah. Every single time. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I have motion sickness on 7 now. It's the first person. They switched it over, and I play plenty of first person. I played 3 years of freaking Apex Legends with my brother, and that's way faster paced and way more movement. So I don't know. Would I get sick with Apex now? I don't know what the hell's happening. So that sucks, but I don't know. Well, I'll probably just have to move on to 8. But yeah, Resident Evil, a franchise that I'm pretty familiar with in the gaming, but I have seen every Resident Evil film. I think. I don't know if I saw Retribution or not, the 5th one.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. But I've seen all the others for sure. I probably did. But I as far as 2 through 6, the final chapter go. Yeah. I've only seen those once each, I think. I don't think, maybe I saw Apocalypse a couple times, but I definitely didn't see anything like Extinction Beyond more than once. So okay. my memory of this franchise is bad. Yeah. And I know that it just turns into this really silly action franchise. But to be fair, this first movie definitely has an action movie feel to it, right? Yeah. But it also has some horror to it for sure. And, Paul W. Sanderson, who directed and wrote this and has worked on all the franchise. Now, he didn't direct every entry, but he was involved in all of them. He definitely gets a lot of shit. And I'm really curious to see how they play out from my memory. I know they get really ridiculous. But I have to say, man, going back through, especially once you get to 4, the 4 remake anyways, that shit is pure Uncharted action. I shot 5,000 guys. I had machine guns, shotguns. I had the whole works for a majority of the game. So this wasn't old school Resident Evil 2 or 1 or whatever. It's uber conservative on ammo and all that stuff. Right? So the franchise does get really actiony, especially in Resident Evil 6 and stuff. It's just a straight up shooter game at that point. So I don't want to say this franchise because people are like, oh, why can't they make it like the games and make it more horror centric and this and that? Yes, there's definitely horror, but it's way, way more action than people seem to think. But the first game, why they didn't remake that one alongside of 2, 3, and 4 is beyond me. I would love a 0-1 remake that have these kinds of graphics and everything. I'd like a Code Veronica. I'd love them to do 5 for sure. But let's talk about this film. Because we're talking about Resident Evil, I definitely wanted to talk about the franchise in the gaming. How can you not? So I'm fairly familiar with the games. I haven't played every single one of them. like Revelations 1 and 2 and Operation Raccoon City I played a little of and everything. So and Dead Aim and Survivor, and I've played like a lot of Resident Evil games. So I have a pretty good knowledge of the franchise. But this is a movie that I've seen a lot. I grew, like, this came out in 2002, so I was 20, and I probably have seen it like 30, 40 times. Like, I've seen it quite a bit. I really like this one a lot.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? This is your second viewing?
I don't know. I saw this maybe a couple times, but it was like when I was a lot younger, so I didn't really have a memory of it. And I don't think I've seen any of the other movies. If I have no recollection.
Okay, that'd
and
be
as
cool.
far as the games, I haven't played any of the games. I played part of 7, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I like this movie. I enjoyed watching it for sure. It definitely has like a kind of nostalgic feel for sure, considering like the age I was when I was watching it, and just some of the graphics and all that stuff. But overall, I liked it.
Yeah, I think the film holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
The CG in it is not really all that distracting. I thought all of that held up pretty well for 2002. Yeah, I mean,
it's
things
used
look
pretty sparingly,
Sure.
to be honest.
Sure.
Like, it's not really like the focus, which is helpful.
No, yeah, the zombies are practical.
Yeah.
The lickers are obviously CG.
Yeah.
We don't see them a ton.
No.
And the dogs are a mixture.
Yeah.
It's obviously like one dog, the first time we see him, looks like a dog with like spaghetti thrown on him.
Yeah, he's wearing a costume.
Yeah. So they definitely used real dogs and then
Yeah.
just did CGI like enhancements on their face to make it look like they like were missing parts of their face and stuff. But yeah, I didn't have any issue with like the effects in this movie, which is cool because the movie's 21 years old now.
Yeah, right.
And when horror does an abundance of CG and stuff, especially in the early 2000s, it's what stands out like a lot.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
We have watched a good amount of stuff on this channel that is like from this time period or earlier, and they're using a good amount of CG, and it's so distracting. It's like, oh, that just immediately takes you out of the film. But let's get into it. So we've got definitely a good amount of callbacks to the games here. This is definitely trying to tell its own story, but it's connecting it to the games enough. So, the mansion up top that Alice and her fake husband live in, obviously is a nod to the mansion from Resident Evil 1. The hive we see Leon and Claire get to in Resident Evil 2. I played both Claire and Leon's stories, and they both end up in the same place, and they both have a lot of similarities, but are quite different. So if anybody wants to play Resident Evil 2 and is like, should I play both their stories? 100% you should. There's quite a bit different. Not enough, but still enough to... Did I say not enough? Like,
you're like, not enough, but still enough.
Yeah, that didn't work. No, I just mean that it's enough to play for sure, but it's just like, I would have liked their stories to intersect, and it would have been like two completely different games.
Yeah.
When they just keep meeting each other.
Yeah.
Right? And like what you do in your version affects the other character in the other version.
Sure.
Right? Where you open this door or something, or you shoot this and there's dead bodies laying on the ground in your story.
Yeah.
And then you come to the next story and you hear gunshots and you go to check and there's the bodies and you were like, I shot that guy. Like, I know where, that kind of stuff. Right? Which we get a little bit of that in 3, actually, where you see how some of the bodies ended up in the police station the way that they are. You actually see them die, and you're like, oh wait, that's the opening of part 2. That's super cool to tie those together. And that's how I would have rather have, but they would have had to make 2 like completely different maps, and it would have been a lot more work. So I get why it isn't there. It's more of like alternate reality stuff, but yeah, they both end up in like, they go down into like a hive, and there's this huge open area and everything. So it's pretty similar to a combination of 1 and 2 in that way. And then where it ends where 3 is, which is up in the streets of Raccoon City. But yeah, as far as Mila Jovovich's performance and everything as Alice, I mean, she's the franchise character, the name, right? She's in all 6 of them as the main character. So this is her movie. Now Alice is, of course, like a completely made up character for this franchise, and everyone else that's kind of surrounding her in later films, like Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield and all that stuff, like they're from the games. But he chose to specifically focus on some newer character and build familiar faces on the outside, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that decision was. I guess maybe like in an effort to like include non-gamers, but I don't know that really matters, because even if you hadn't played the game, if you were just recreating the game like with the characters from the game, you would still be able to follow along. So, but I think it's fine. I mean, I haven't played the game, so I don't have like a connection with any of the characters, but I like her performance and her character in this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, she's good. She plays, I mean, obviously this is kind of similar to her character in Fifth Element.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
She's got like, she doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
She's very innocent and very like, oh, and then she finds out she's like a killing machine.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very, very similar character. But she plays it well.
She does.
And she's beautiful. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it. It's
No.
just, it is. I didn't even think about it. I didn't write it down or anything. I just thought of it right now. Like, wait, this is totally Lilu.
Yeah, it's very Lilu.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm not really honestly sure why dude releases the virus when he leaves.
I know.
Like, I think he's just trying to set off the alarms to like, but wouldn't you think maybe it would like, I think his point is like, it's going to shut the place down, and as long as I can get out of here in time, like, they'll be in lockdown and they can't come after me.
Yeah, that's what I think his intention is.
But if he knows what happens when he releases that shit,
does he
that's
know?
super evil.
Yeah, I don't know that he knows. I don't remember that he was like explicitly. I mean, they didn't know what the virus was in general, right? Like before it was released, I mean. Like they didn't realize that it was like some like, you know, what was the term, like bioweapon or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that he's aware of like what's gonna happen, but I do think he does it to, like as we said, lock everything down so that he can get out with his stolen goods and they won't be able to come after him.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like what's the point? As you said, it's just to lock the place down. If he knew, though, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, you could create, but at the same time, you're talking about a guy who's gonna sell this to people who have intentions to use it on the populace, right? Like,
that's true.
I don't know, man, because it's like you're selling the zombie outbreak, right? Like, this affects you.
It affects
have you ever seen a zombie movie?
Yeah,
like it's always worldwide.
Right.
Right? There's very few zombie movies I can think of that it's like a contained area. Yeah.
Yeah, where it doesn't spread.
It's very, very rare, right? And even in something like Return of the Living Dead, where they do contain it and they drop a bomb, then the mushroom cloud sprays the virus everywhere, and it basically is showing you that the world's going to die because they bombed it, right? But there's nothing you can do once it's been released, right? You're kind of screwed. You try to burn the bodies and the smoke turns other people, right? So it's like it's an impossibility. So you have to know when you're selling that stuff, you're selling yourself out. This is why I never understand like corrupt politicians and corporations and stuff that are like poisoning the earth.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Bro, you
just, like,
live on this planet.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a backup planet I'm unaware of?
Right. Yeah.
they're just so old they don't care.
Sure.
They're like,
Some of it's
I'll be
that
dead
for
by
sure.
the time this shit blows up.
Yeah.
So
I'm
what do I
gonna
care?
reap the benefits of my corruption.
It's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, obviously Alice is named after Alice in Wonderland. Right?
Sure, yeah.
She's kind of in this dreamlike state and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Real hard-hitting evidence here. Like, I'm really bringing my A game tonight. And then we get good old Letty, Michelle Rodriguez here, playing a stretch here, a tough girl.
She's so tough. So that's her typecast.
Yeah, I don't...
For sure.
Have I ever seen Michelle Rodriguez in something where she's not playing the tough chick? No. If that movie exists, I would like, please, comments below. Is there a Michelle Rodriguez film where she's not punching a dude and acting tough?
Yeah.
I do not know of a film that's happened in. But she gets dedicated. I mean, she was in this movie called, I think it was Girl Fight or something. She went to audition.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like so sure of herself that she was going to get the part that she like trained for months before she went to like the interview and like everything. She was like, I'm getting this shit. Mm-hmm. And she got it. So good for her. She's a dedicated lady, but I've never, ever seen her play anything but. Maybe it exists.
I don't remember ever seeing it either.
Yeah, I mean,
I think she's always been like that.
There's certain people, obviously, that in Hollywood, they're just typecasted.
Yep.
Like the guy in the Fast and the Furious that plays Hector, the Mexican dude, like who's like a gang member. I've never seen that guy as anything but a gang member, and I've seen him in 100 movies.
Typecast.
And every single time, he has the exact same outfit on. He has the exact same look. There's this thing going all around online where they're like, he always plays Hector in movies. Fact check that meme or whatever. It's not true. His name is totally different in like the majority of the movies that they say Hector next to. So somebody fudged that. But what's weird is that he has played Hector in like maybe 5 or 6 things. And why they didn't pick those ones instead, the ones where you can actually fact check and it is Hector, that was really weird to me.
Yeah,
anyways, he has nothing to do with this movie. We're talking about Michelle Rodriguez, who's in The Fast and the Furious. He was in The Fast and the Furious. Moving on. And just a little fun discussion. And the train that they take, I'm assuming is either a nod to the ending of part 2, right? Because Leon and Claire...
Escape on a train.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the little girl that Claire finds. And then, spoilers for Resident Evil 2.
Spoilers.
But, that's what it is. Because that's down there. I was going to say the train in Resident Evil 0, the whole first act of the Resident Evil 0 is on a train. But it's more of like a passenger train. This is like to the hive. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is in Resident Evil 2. So to say that this has like nothing to do with the games is total bullshit. Like there's definitely stuff in here that is quite similar to it. You've got the Red Queen who is right. And they keep it's funny because with the Red Queen, she seems like the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
And she's the one trying to keep everything in order. If everyone just would have listened to her, then this wouldn't have gotten out and killed the world, right? She tries to shut everything down. She tries to rationalize and reason with them. She tries to kill them. She tries to do absolutely everything in her power because she's a machine and she has no feelings. She just is like, this is my programming. I need to protect the hive and make sure this doesn't get out of here. She releases the liquors. She does everything she can in her power to kill everyone. She floods the place. She shuts it down. Yeah. She makes it impossible to get in. They have to like blow the doors. They have to blow her up. They have to do everything to get around her. And it's, of course, they all want to live, and they think that, like, the antivirus is going to save them, which it doesn't. And in the end, pretty much all of them die. dude gets pulled off and put in the Nemesis program, and Alice, of course, goes in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And other than that, I mean, everyone else dies, and it's like you killed the world, because like once they come out, they've infected people, and
right.
those people then infect people, and so on. We know how it works. And this is like, the T virus, when it's released originally, it's airborne. Right?
Right.
And then it becomes like saliva and more zombie typical.
Isn't it said though in this one that it's like it just adapts
to
mutates,
everything? Yeah.
So it's spread however.
Yeah.
Like literally however.
And the liquors in this, like when they taste different DNA,
yeah, they
become more efficient killers, and
yeah.
like their bodies change and morph.
It's very the thing.
It's just wild,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it is the thing, sort of, for sure. One scene in this that I really love is the laser room scene. I think it's a great tense scene, but I also love that they kill the lead of the SWAT team guys, right? Like whatever the hell they're not SWAT team, but you know what I mean.
Oh, sure. It's very unexpected. You don't think they're going to... Yeah. And then they all die.
Yeah.
It's really... And it's sad, too, because they're, like, trying to jump and avoid it and all kinds of stuff. And just, yeah.
Well, he does all, like, the baller moves and shit.
Yes.
And you think for sure, like, he's getting out of this.
And then it does the grid, and you're just like...
And you think, because he's on the thing.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to be the movie thing, and he shuts it down.
And he's
going to hit it, like, last second. It's going to be, like, right here, and it's going to shut down.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was too close, kind of thing.
And it just goes right through him, and his eye just starts leaking and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and then the one guy who tries to jump it, because it's on the ground, and then it
moves
jumps
up. So evil. He's like, what?
That is so messed up.
That's so messed up.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm jumping, and then it just cuts him in half.
The one dude gets his hand cut off, and the next chick gets her head, same laser, cuts her head off.
Yeah.
Like, that room is gnarly.
It's really gnarly, for sure.
I really like that. I mean, why they wouldn't start with the grid?
I know, just to eliminate.
Power,
it's like I'm gonna
just do the grid one
time.
go.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
and
that's just movie bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it would just start with the grid.
Yeah.
There's no point.
It would only be the grid.
Yes. Just do the grid once and it's over.
Exactly.
You do it from the back to the front.
Unless there's an organism in there that's like one.
Like a mouse.
Yeah.
And he can jump through it.
No, he just like.
He slides.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my mouse.
That was a cute mouse.
That was a cute mouse. Not an accurate one, but...
No, they don't go me.
What do they do?
Yeah, that was pretty accurate. That's like a mouse dying, though.
Oh.
They only squeak like that like when they're in pain. I thought. It's not. I don't know what that is. Stop killing me?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's gotten really dark in here.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, shutting down the Red Queen. Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge.
Huge.
Now, something that's interesting in here is like, dude doesn't even know he's a bad guy, right? Like,
yeah.
And it very much sets it up where Alice is gonna be the bad guy.
Sure.
Right? And she's like saying like, I can get this thing out and this and that, but it's obviously later revealed that her contact was Matt's sister.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, he came there to find out what the hell happened to his sister because she had the contact, and it's pretty predictable in that way. Like, they do try to sell you on that Alice is the sellout, and at that time, before you know she's like the face of the franchise or anything, you definitely it could be possible, but it's like, it's so clearly Spence. Like, he's if you're really paying attention in the beginning of the movie, you can see that he's closing the door.
Right.
Which I think is pretty ballsy to put in for anybody who sees him and is like, okay, that was clearly like a white dude.
Yeah.
At least you're gaining that from it.
Sure.
That was not Mila Jovovich
Yeah.
that closed that door.
As a man. Yeah.
Right? Now, it could be that Spence and her are in on it together because they do show them having sex and everything.
Right.
So it's not like a fake marriage.
I think that's more set up is that they're in on it together.
Sure.
Yeah, because of their relationship that's shown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially for her, I think, because like she's having these memories of them being like happy together and everything.
Yeah.
So I think she's like, I probably should trust him.
I don't know. I don't know what their relationship. We see them have sex.
You're
right. And then he says, "Today, all your dreams come true." On some note.
Yeah.
And I think maybe. I mean, I think he was double crossing her. I think that's probably what happened. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've seen this movie a lot, but I haven't really thought about that much. But he's like, "Today, all your dreams come true." Then the defense mechanisms like kick in, but he says specifically, I didn't think the defense mechanisms, worked outside of the mansion. Mm-hmm. And so the defense mechanisms come on board, they knock people out, make them have amnesia. Why? I don't really know, like, what the point of that exactly is.
They don't want to, like, have any of the information leaked.
Shouldn't,
like,
but he says it'll come back. Like in a couple days or something, and it's like a side effect that may or may not happen. So it's like knocking them out, like killing them maybe.
Yeah.
But knocking them out, like, I don't really understand the point.
I don't know.
She says it's just a defense mechanism, but it's like, shouldn't the people who guard the entrance be the ones that like block people from coming out if they're trying to steal something coming up that way? Because there's only 2 entrances and 2 exits to the hive.
Right.
And they're one of them. That's like the whole point, is like they're at the second entrance, the secret entrance to the hive. And it's like, shouldn't they be like, since they're trained operatives that have like machine guns and everything in their house? Like, none of that really makes any sense to me, because it's like this big cover, but then like you can so easily find their like secret weapons.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. There should have been like a secret room with guns in it.
Not just a drawer.
Not just a drawer in your bedroom. Because it's like supposed to be a big cover, and like if people come there, they're not gonna find it. But I don't know why they'd be rummaging through your shit.
Yeah, they would be like.
Wouldn't you think it would be behind like a secret door?
Sure, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's like, hidden in plain sight kind of a thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or like thumbprint identification to get into the drawer.
Yeah.
Or a key. Something. The fact that it's just open. I know that you have to press in a code to get to the guns, but you can see them. They're it's a see-through thing. Yeah. If that thing was locked and you couldn't see through it to see that there were guns in there, that would make a lot more sense. Then you'd be like, oh, it's jewelry.
Sure,
it's
the fact that you can see that it's guns eliminates the point of it being like a hidden gun drawer.
Right.
That you're trying to keep from people.
It's pretty silly.
Yeah.
Right. And and because they're supposed to be the protectors of that area, knocking them out is the defense. It's like they're the defense. Knocking out your guards seems kind of stupid.
You're right. The only thing I can think is just that it was like so information wouldn't get out or something, but I don't know what the point is if you're just going to get your memory back. Unless the plan was to have like some team.
Or is it that like the Red Queen is in on like the fact that they plotted this, and so the defense mechanism was like, we don't trust you anymore. That's the only thing that I can come up with, is like, you are compromised. We are not sure where your allegiances lie, so we're going to knock you out and we're going to send in a special team to take your place. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Because
what else makes any sense? I got nothing. So there you go. Anyway, what do you guys think? The 1 or 2 people that are still watching. Chris Snyder, who's definitely watching. All right. And then Mila Jovovich, or Alice, she got one powerful ass kick in this movie.
She does. She kicks that doggo.
She kicks the dog, breaks its neck. She's breaking necks like nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I will call bullshit on the games, though, because you can't shoot one of them in the head once and they die. That would be nice. that would be wonderful. But that's not how it works. You gotta shoot those sons of bitches like 5 times in the head sometimes. And it is the most... 7! I've shot them in the head 7 times before, and they still...
don't die.
Oh my god. It's like, come on, guys. I'm shooting right here, too. Alright, I don't shoot here. John Wick style, man. I take those guys out. And they just... No. They keep moving. In zombie shit, 1 headshot, they out.
Yeah. So, that's the rules.
Them's the rules. But yeah, like, the not remembering if you're the good guy or the bad guy thing is actually kind of screwed up and weird, because, like, this kind of proves the point of, like, being a bad guy is a decision, right? Like, who we are in our natural state. Like, I feel like because Spence and Alice's default mode is like nice. Now, how long before Spence... Because Spence has a moment where he remembers. Once they get down there and they see the virus and everything, he then clicks in and then he turns bad. But before that, he was like helping out and a good guy.
I mean, I think it depends, obviously. I think for some people it's a choice, like, to be corrupt. And for other people, it's like... I mean, like, I don't know. Like, you're talking about morals, right? Like, there's people that don't have any morals at all.
I get that.
And stuff. So, but, like, for him, it clearly was a decision to go bad. Because, as you said,
but if
he was, like, nice in the beginning.
But if you lose your memory, is your memory tied to your morality?
No. Not necessarily.
No? You don't think so? You don't think that you don't think your lack of morality comes from trauma that you remember?
No, not all the time.
No? So you think there's people that are inherently bad?
I mean, yes, but I would say that it's because of, like, mental, like, illness that they're bad. Not, like, in a, like, I don't know.
Sure, because I don't
like, esoteric way or whatever.
Sure, because I don't think that...
So that doesn't mean that they can't be fixed.
I think that in order for a human to be bad, you have to be rejecting kind of the default setting of humans. And I know that a lot of people suck, but that's situational.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, and I think that's what you're saying too, is that, like, those people who have had trauma or whatever, and they, like, go bad because as a result, like, the world is this way, so I'm gonna be this way too. Like, that's a decision that you make.
Sure.
That's not something that's forced on you, but the people that are, like, sociopaths or whatever, who, like, literally don't have any feelings or control over whether they have empathy, like, those people, it's not a decision to be that way. That's just who they are. They have to decide to be, like, normal and good and, like, not break laws and stuff. So in Spencer's case, I don't think he is that person, but Spence, sorry. But he is bad because he's corrupt.
I'm sure Spence is short for Spencer, though. It's not much shorter.
No, it's not. Yeah. Spencer, it's literally one letter.
I feel like calling me Jason. Jason. Kaylee.
No, just Kaylee.
Kaylee.
Because you say the E.
It's hard.
The E is the last part.
Kayla. Yeah. Anyway.
Jason.
So, I mean, the only way that we could really prove that is if there was any kind of data on, like, known sociopaths who have gotten amnesia.
I know, we're just speculating.
I know that in movies, amnesia seems like it's an everyday occurrence on planet Earth, and, like, 1 out of every 3 people get it.
Yeah.
But in reality, amnesia is insanely rare. But you'd have to have someone who's a known psychopath, a known sociopath, and for them to get hit in the head or some shit and to suffer amnesia and actually know for sure, and it's not just some kind of, like, ploy or some kind of, like, grift, and you'd have to be able to document, like, they're a totally different person. They're a good person now. What the hell?
Right.
Like, right, they have feelings now all of a sudden.
It'd be really weird.
So I don't know. I mean, it'd be spoilers for a movie, but there's a movie we watched where the person doesn't remember that they're a bad guy throughout the movie. And towards the end, he realizes he's a bad guy. And then he leaves the girl in the hospital. No? You don't remember? I'll tell you what it is after. I just don't want to ruin it. It's a good movie. But now I can't recommend it because then you'll know what I'm talking about. You guys
have to
will
find
know what I'm
it.
talking about. Yeah, no, they can't. Anyway. And then, yeah, I mean, I like that they kept this R-rated, right?
Yeah.
That was a good choice. I don't think you should ever make a PG-13 Resident Evil film. But there's a lot of Resident Evil content out there. Whether you got the games, which there's like 30 of them. There's a lot of games at this point. So many spin-offs, so many different freaking things. But you also got the like TV shows, right? Which you've got an animated TV show. You've got that new TV show that everyone hated. You've got the animated movies. You've got the 7 films. You've got books. You know, I own 7 books from this series. Like, there is so much content when it comes to Resident Evil. And what's funny about it is, like, when it comes to the games, especially in like the first few, the story is like super thin for me. Right? It's just kind of like evil corporation is evil.
Yeah.
And, you know, these heroes are trying to like stop them. And there's like nothing else much
really
to it for me. It's super basic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never invested in the story or anything. Like, I'm invested enough in the objective. But as far as the story, it ain't no Last of Us. Obviously, nothing is. But it's not even like other games that have like cool storylines that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like compared to something, because it is a zombie game, like, you know, like Last of Us is.
Right.
But even something like Days Gone, when we played that, like, that's way more investing, right? This is just kind of like they just kind of have a story to like throw at you to get you from one thing to the next. In my opinion, for any Resident Evil fanatics out there, you might have a much deeper scope of the story. But from what I've seen in the like 9 or 10 games I've played in this franchise at this point, the story is never really all that interesting to me. I'm always like, okay, like, that guy's bad. I gotta shoot him. And, you know, Umbrella's bad. Yeah. Right? And sometimes people you know turn on you. And that's like it. I don't really get much else out of it. So that's that. Anyway, yeah. So they go back in right after they finally get out. The antivirus does not work on Michelle Rodriguez here. Yeah. Or Rain is her name, which I actually wanted to name my kid Rain.
Because of this?
No, I just really like Raven or Rain, but those are very like 90s names, so I didn't go with it. Because I didn't. Never mind, doesn't matter. And yeah, they decide to open up the hive. Big mistake. They should know better. Umbrella comes in and they're like, we should open up the hive. We want to know what happened down there.
Yeah, they should totally know better.
You just bomb the place.
Absolutely. You gotta destroy that.
Yeah, or you just bury it, right? Yeah. Like, just seal the doors and just bury the doors, and that's it. Like, nobody's ever gonna find that thing.
Right, it's underground.
Yeah. You purposely hid it.
Right. Instead, they're like, let's release everything.
But I'll tell you, man, after watching Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and we see how the meth room was made and how much work and effort went into making a room not much bigger than this living room and kitchen. And it was insane amounts of effort. Thinking of them trying to keep a secret, this hive that's like this massive. Yeah. It's like a city underground. Yeah. But I guess, I mean, it's the military. Right. They could definitely do it. Yeah. But with all the money. Imagine the crater. Oh my gosh. That they would have to like dig out. Yeah. In order to put this. This actually kind of reminded me, you know, anytime we got this kind of like underground thing or whatever, they all similar. They're all kind of similar to me, but it reminds me a little bit of Underwater with, you know, Kristen Stewart. But yeah, and then, they put Matt in the Nemesis program. Obviously, we know where that's going. If you've played game 3, And of course, this movie ends setting up Game 3. Now, I don't remember if any characters from 3 come in, like Carlos or whatever, Jill Valentine. We'll see. I'll be curious. I know Jill Valentine is in this series, and I'll be curious on who they cast and how she looks, because she's definitely the hottest girl in this franchise when it comes to the video games. Jill is super good looking, especially in this remake. I don't know, old graphics, she probably looks shitty. But I hope she lives up to how pretty she is. But of course, in these games, every girl's gorgeous, as they always gotta be.
Yeah.
Because people don't like realistic, right? Like
Yeah.
we've figured this out. Like, people bitch. We were just watching this recently, where someone was like crying because they made, the people in the post-apocalyptic world not look pretty. And it's like, they're in the... Are you serious? You really think like Abby and Ellie and these people care about their fucking looks all that much?
Yeah.
Like, what? You can't win. If they're pretty, there's people that are like, oh, come on. Like, they really would look like that. But at the end of the day, mostly gamers are, 20, 30-year-old guys who really are kind of like basic as fuck.
Sure.
They want their main character to be white.
Yeah.
They want everyone to be straight.
Yeah.
They want the babes to be babes, have the kind of anime tits and shit. Like, that's really what they want. And when you change anything up, they cry to the heavens like little pussies. But that's not the way that these characters would really look. And watching someone like smash the fact that Aloy from Horizon, she's just, she's not that pretty. And what? Anyways, don't even get me started on these. These people are fucking wastes of life. But on a brighter note, if you pause this movie just right, you can see Mila Jovovich's when she falls off the table. I totally did not do that back in 2002. Frame by frame. There it is. And oh man, the good old days. The good old days of the early 2000s, when these movies would end with Slipknot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this movie ends with Slipknot. Saw 2 ends with Mudvayne. You've got friggin' all the Matrix movies back then ended with Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I miss these days.
Yeah.
When movies ended with metal bands.
I know. It's metal.
It's so cool, man. Nowadays, that's just not a thing and almost ever anymore.
No. It really isn't.
Like, metal is always, these days in movies, used as like part of a punchline to a joke or something. Or like someone's like being really aggressive, or like, the person out in the car is like letting out steam and they're listening to metal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's like the only reason we hear metal in films these days, for the most part. Don't get me wrong, there's still some that use it. Like Deathgasm.
Sure, but that's like specific to that, so yeah.
When he lasers the chick's fucking top off and everything. It's like one of the greatest scenes in the history of film. It's so funny to me. I love it so much. Anyway, so there you go. Resident Evil. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No.
We're done? Okay. So next week, Resident Evil Apocalypse. That's the name of it. Yeah, Apocalypse. Then Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, and the final chapter. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
I know that this franchise gets increasingly silly and ridiculous and very almost Fast and the Furious where it just keeps getting more absurd every entry.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun.
I think it'll be fun too.
So, what do you guys think about this franchise? The Paul W.S. Anderson, Mila Jovovich franchise? What do you think of the video games? Which ones have you played? Which ones are your favorite? Have you played the remakes? Any of that stuff. The video, the TV series, the new Raccoon City books, freaking whatever. You let us know. Talk all Resident Evil in the comments below, and I will respond. Kaylee will not. All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.